My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Arcane Season 2, Act 3. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But I have very few notes, so my thoughts might be all over the place, but I'll be honest. Going into these episodes, I was very excited, but I was also very worried. Like, there is so much going on, and could they wrap it up in 3 episodes? And I love episode 7. I'll talk about it more shortly. But it kind of feels like a side quest. So that episode got me even more worried, but by the end of this act, I truly believe they pulled it off. I believe they gave us a perfect finale to a perfect season of television. And, like, on one hand, I'm glad it's not getting dragged out, but on the other hand, I'm going to miss these characters so much. But also, that said, we'll definitely see them again, won't we? So I actually want to begin by talking about the soundtrack because I loved the soundtrack in Act 1. I Can't Hear It Now, Heavy is the Crown, Renegade, Suckle, Rainfall. The one that plays at the beginning of episode 3 and from Files and Ashes. Just amazing song after amazing song. And then Act 2 gave us Rebel Heart, Cocktail Molotov, Paint the Town Blue, Remember Me, just another great batch of songs. And somehow they keep finding ways to top themselves because the soundtrack in Act 3 might just be my favorite songs from this show. Spin the Wheel is such a unique sounding song, but I just loved it and I thought it added plenty of emotion to the show. Come Play is a great song and I love the scene that plays in, but I'll talk more about that shortly. Wasteland, holy shit, that's a song. I'll talk definitely about the moment it's in, but I will be listening to that on repeat for months. And then Fantastic is a great song. And then The Line by 21 Pilots. Like, give me a break. This show is just unreal when it comes to the soundtrack. I also want to talk about the animation because I feel like I haven't talked about the animation enough and how do they keep topping themselves. Like, it looks beautiful consistently throughout, but it goes big here and it is just stunning to look at. All the weird astral imagery is just breathtaking. And I love the animation style we see in the beginning of episode 9, which once again I'll talk about more shortly. And I even love how they messed around with frame rate, I believe, during the dancing scene in episode 7. Like, they constantly find new and exciting things to do, and that's just one reason out of many why I love this show. Another reason why I love this show is because of the characters. Everyone is flawed. Good and bad, it's all so messy. Vi did some bad things this season. Caitlyn did some bad things this season. Jinx did some bad things for quite a while. Silco is a villain, but there's still some great human aspects to him. Vandal is a great character who is still flawed, and I love how well written these characters are, but just the passion that these showrunners have. You can feel the love throughout. And yeah, okay, let's start talking about the episodes, because episode 7 is just fantastic. You know, I think the tagline on Netflix is one vision of darkness, one vision of light, and what could have been. And when I saw what could have been, I thought of the ending of season 1, the song by Sting, and we see what could have been. Peltover and Zahn actually being a functioning community, and we saw real hope in Powder as a character. And I think it reminds us just how brilliant she actually is, and how she never really got a chance to use her gifts for good. And I think Echo needed a reminder of who she is on a deeper level. That she is a loving, talented, brilliant person who's just been broken along the way and didn't have the proper support. I think it's also important for Echo to see Silco and Vander getting along, showing forgiveness is possible. My assumption is that Silco did get the letter in this universe. And to see Benzo and Milo and Clago alive, like, there are times where this show is on the verge of being fan service, but once again, you just feel the passion. You really do. And I also love how Echo and Heimerdinger are in this universe, and then it cuts to Jace where it's death and misery and just the coolest but menacing visuals, and I just loved everything going on there. And you can just see that Hextech wiped everything out. The only remains are like these zombified humans who don't even have any appearance of humanity left. And you understand why Jace did what he had to do at the end of episode 6. And then it cuts to Echo and he's dancing, and I don't know, I found it kind of funny, to be honest. But I also like how it kind of seems like Powder picks up on the fact that Echo is somebody else here. And I thought the romance was actually so sweet. It really was. I also love how the episode ends with Jinx having a drawer full of Hextech, and the impression I got was that she was smart enough to know not to mess around with it. So I just fully loved episode 7, and I really do think it is essential, not just giving Echo his time travel abilities, but also for the beginning of episode 9 in Jinx's character arc, it is essential. This season is about hope and remembering who people are. And I think this episode just personified those ideas so perfectly. But then we get to episode 8, and I'll begin by talking about the Mel storyline, because I got a feeling that's the one that people aren't a fan of, and I still really dug it. I did. You know, the first season gets you to care about the characters, and then it starts ushering in all this magic stuff, and I think it does a good job of explaining it. I think this sets up the Black Wars very well. Well, I'm interested to see what more of them we get in the future, but it gave us an explanation of how Mel and Jace survived the crash. I guess I should say the attack. And also, giving Mel abilities made it so there's more hope in episode 9. they balanced it out incredibly well. Then I'll talk about the Jay stuff. Well, he's just gone through it, and he gets attacked by that robot, and he feels responsible for the way things have gone. And I thought that was explored incredibly well. I thought everything with Mbessa and Singed and Warwick and Victor was really great. That scene at the end with the line playing, and Victor and Vandal lose all humanity, and Victor's like to Sky, "I'll miss our chats." And Sky's like, "No, you won't. You'll be too evolved for them." And just the imagery of Vandal's memories being burnt. They got him back, and now he's gone for good. But then we get to the Jinx stuff. And Jinx is, at the very least, a top 2 character of all time for me. So to see her this down, I found it difficult. I found it truly effective. She redeemed herself, she had hope, and it was taken away from her like that. And now, she's just done. And you really feel that. And even how she pushes Vi away. Just truly devastating stuff. And then I also like hearing that she only cared about Vi, and then she surrendered. She's not going to hide anymore. And how that creates a bit of conflict for Vi and Caitlyn, and how Caitlyn eventually kind of lets Vi do what she was always going to do. And, they have their big scene, which I know people are really excited about. For me, okay, whatever. But, I just thought this episode did a great job of showing where everyone's at and showing the threat on the way. And, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little worried, can they really wrap it up after only one more episode? But, yeah, they did. I loved episode 9, but the beginning just broke me. Jinx burning the memories of both Silco and Vandal, and how she tries to, and how Echo keeps coming in and saving her time after time, and she's not holding back. She is ready to die. She wants to die. She needs to die. But how Echo's view of forgiveness and his view of who Powder really was in episode 7 pushes him to see the good in her now. And it's about not giving up and truly believing in something. As sad as this show is, it is so life-affirming, and it's so positive and hopeful at the same time. And then we get to the action, and I love how it just gets to the point immediately. Right away, Vi is carrying someone, and we're just in the middle of this war zone, and there's so much going on, I don't even know how to begin by talking about, but I do love the Maddie reveal. Looking back, it's actually really obvious, but it still caught me off guard in the moment. So that was well done, and allowed her to stand out more as a character. I like the fight with Caitlyn and Mel against Mbessa. Mbessa's just a beast. But I also love how Mel is finally respected in her mother's eyes, but also how Mel pushes away the one person as well, really well done. Caitlyn loses an eye. And then, oh, Victor's final form is so badass. And everything with those warbots, and once they touch you, you're like, ugh. I thought that added so much stakes to everything going on. This final episode was intense. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. My palms were sweaty. Mom's spaghetti. It is really exciting stuff. And I also just loved so much of the action moments, visually stunning. Like, there was so much going on. And I loved everything with Jace and Victor and how so much started with them. But I actually did predict earlier this season, at least to my brother, I don't know if I caught it on video, that I thought Victor was the guy to give Jace the Hex Tech. And how it's a loop. And I love how Echo and Jace worked together to just bring out any bit of humanity left in Victor, and how Jace was able to get him left. And I usually hated it in shows and movies when, the characters say what the movie or show is about, and that helps them stop the villain. It really works here when Jace is just like, you needed to cure death, you needed to cure your legs. But Victor, those imperfections were part of who you were. And I think that ties in directly to Jinx's character arc and vibe, that you can't escape your trauma. You will never be truly better, but it helps build who you decide to be today. And I thought this actually was done in a very sweet, emotional way. And I thought the robots were too overpowered for them to be stopped any other way. So this approach was the correct one, and it hit me in the feels. But holy shit, let's talk about Jinx's entrance. Complete badass. That shot of the camera on the floor pointing up at her as come plays. That is cinema, baby. That was so good. And her and Vi fighting together to take down Warwick. First of all, I actually love when Vi jumps down on Echo's hoverboard and attacks Warwick. That was a great moment. And Echo's the MVP of this act. Just a truly stand-up guy. And not just how he helps Jinx, but how he gives up having the perfect life to help his friends out. He kills. He's such a standout guy. In one act, he became one of my favorite characters immediately. But, going back to Jinx and Vi, watching them fight Warwick side by side, and, Jinx being you've always been with me. And it's true. It was kind of said in a menacing way in Season 1. But these two characters, they love each other, and it's complicated and it's messy, but I really do care for their relationship. And that fight when Zero Gravity kicks in, badass, love it! But then we get to the point where Vi takes one look at Warwick, and I love how this show uses flashbacks, not just as nostalgia bait for previous episodes, but it highlights the struggles of the characters. And Jinx takes down Warwick, and Vi's holding on. And first of all, this is very important because Jinx has never actually sacrificed herself for anyone. In episode 3, she kind of messed it up. In season 1, episode 6, there's no real sacrifice. This is the first time she truly sacrifices. I guess Isha, which I guess it's a reminder of how Isha brought out the good in her, but and Bess was also talking earlier in the season about how one of the best traits of a warrior is being willing to sacrifice, and we see that with Jinx here. And when she's holding on to Vi's hand and she takes out the hex tech and she sacrifices herself to save her sister, we get the flashback to Vandal watching them in bed. And I see people being like, oh, so you took the character who wanted to die and you got her to die. Well, first of all, I'll talk about it more shortly, but she's alive. Secondly is, this isn't her wanting to die, this is her dying for someone greater than herself. It was an act of sacrifice, it was an act of selflessness, and that shows growth. But also, Jinx isn't dead, actually. Thinking about it more, Caitlyn looking at the air vents, the little dash of purple, the shimmer, and then the final shot being the blimp, the same blimp that in season 1, Powder was like, I want to ride one of those one days. I think we'll see Jinx again. Her death still had so much emotion to it, and seeing Vi devastated hit me in the feels. And the ending people might think is a little neat, but the council is pretty much dead, so it makes sense to rebuild, and with this added viewpoint, to do it with people from Zon as well. Like, it feels like they're on the right track. I don't know if we're going to see Savika again, or if we'll see Piltover or Zon again. But it seems like they're trying to make a difference. And it's clearly the start of a bigger universe, because I do think we'll see Vi and Caitlyn again. I do think we'll see Jinx again. I do think we'll see Echo again. And I'm okay with that. Not everything always has to have a tragic end. It still had emotion, it was still exciting, and I thought they nailed it. As someone who loves this show so much and these characters, I was very happy with this turnout. I will be doing a review of the entirety of season 2 and maybe the show, we'll see, but I love this show. I really do. I thought these final episodes were bold, ambitious, heartbreaking, and epic and exciting and super tense. I just thought it gave me everything I wanted. But what were your thoughts on these final episodes? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more videos soon, and Gavin out.